Alright, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to manipulate images inside your website. This would be things like resizing the images, cropping them, converting them to grayscale, sharpening an image if it's a little blurry, things like that. So we'll go through a whole list of different features so I can give you a quick demonstration of how they all work. Let's get started. What I've gone ahead and done is loaded up a new content block with just some text in it. So we're going to go ahead and insert an image in here, and I'd like to show you how to manipulate that image. So we're purposely going to start out with an image that's way too big that just isn't going to look good in the site, and then we'll work backwards from there to show you how to make it look nice. Okay, so inserting an image, let's go into the image area here and click the Browse button. Let's go into our temporary folder and we'll grab, let's use this koala image. So let's go ahead and insert that into the page just as it is so you can see what we're dealing with. So we'll go ahead and do that, click OK. So as you can see, the image is way too big and it's not going to look good inside the site. So one thing that you may be tempted to do is to resize it from right here where you can grab these corners and you could just do this and resize this image. Now that function is perfectly acceptable and you can definitely do that. Here's the thing you have to look out for when you're doing it this way without resizing the image first. This image right now is a fairly large image. Because you're resizing it right here in the browser, you're actually not changing the size as far as megabytes for that image. You're simply only changing the dimensions that are being displayed. So let's say someone's looking at this image on a mobile device and they have a slow connection. It will take a while for that image to load on their mobile device because even though it looks like it's small, it's really still a very large image just being resized by the browser. So if you have a really big image, if the image is this big to start with, you want to shrink it down to this size, that's fine. That's totally acceptable. It will work fine. There's not going to be a huge file size difference if you manually go and resize the images so that it is actual size is really this size. Okay, I know this may seem a little confusing, but it's important that you understand the difference because it will have a major impact on the speed at which your web page loads on different devices that people choose to view it on. Okay, so I've gone ahead and resized it this way. It seems to look fine, but let's go ahead and I'm going to hit the delete button and pull it out of there. And let's go instead and let's go edit it inside the editor. So let's go back to that koala image and I'm going to just check the box here. There's two ways you can get to the image editing function. You can check the box, go up to Manage, and then click Edit, or you can just right-click on that image and hit Edit that way. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So here's our image. Right now, this is a fairly large image, and we want to shrink it down. It's too big. So let's start by first resizing it. So right now, it's currently 1,024 pixels wide. So let's make it about half that size. So let's go 612 just for fun. And when you tab over or click on the height, because this checkbox is checked, it will maintain its proportions. And you'll notice that the ratio of height to width was automatically determined so that the image didn't start looking strange, like being squished or stretched, because the height and width aspect ratio is now off. Okay, now we can hit apply. When you hit apply, that's going to go ahead and apply that change that we just did. Now that hasn't been saved yet, so if we just close this window, you haven't actually done anything. What you're doing with these tools over here is just playing with it inside this window, and in order for it to be permanently all the changes, so you can do 10 different functions in here and then hit save when you're all done. And so we'll do that here at the end. So I've gone ahead and resized it. Let's say we want to crop in on it a little as well. Here's the cropping function. And to do this, you just grab the corners and the edges, these little white blocks, and you can then go in the middle and you could grab that cropping function and select an area. So let's say we want to do that. Now you hit apply. It will cut out all the extra information on the outside of that dotted line and crop the image. And then let's say we want it to be looking the other way. You can flip the image. You have the option to flip it horizontally, which just flips it this way. And then you can also flip it vertically. And then you can also rotate it. So if you want to rotate, it rotates in increments of 90 degrees. And you can rotate it all the way around in a circle or go backwards the other way. Okay, and if you get to a point where you're clicking and you've done some things, you want to get it back to the way it was, again, you can just hit reset. That'll pull it back to the way it was before you started flipping and rotating the image. Okay, and then these filter functions are pretty cool. If you have an image that's very dark, you can use the brightness and contrast functions to brighten the image up. Again, this image doesn't need it. It's already very bright and clear and easy to see. But this is how these work. You just continue to switch back and forth between them until you get the image to look the way you want, and at any point in time hit apply. Exposure. A lot of these you'll just want to play with them to kind of see what they do. You've got gamma, hue, if you want to enhance the colors of the image to some portion of the color gamut here, and saturation. So let's say you use this and you want to create kind of a green hue to go with something in your site. Again, you have to hit apply before you move on. So I'm going to go ahead and apply that. Then I'm going to go to saturation, and I can really make it intense, a lot more green. And then again, apply that. Move on to the next thing, sepia. If you're familiar with that, you want to play around with that function. That gives it that brownish kind of old picture looking feeling. Vibrance. Make things a little more intense. You don't notice it a whole lot on this picture, but you can kind of see how deep those greens got by me adjusting that vibrance. Blurring. So with this, you can blur the image. So if for some reason you want an image to be really blurry, you could do that with this. Colorizing. If you want to give the image a little more red and a little less green, you can play with all of those functions in here and try to adjust the colorizing of that image. Grayscale. That's a pretty simple function. You can't adjust it. It either is or it isn't. Inverting. If you want to switch to a negative view. Sharpening. If the image is blurry, you can sharpen it. There is no adjustment. It just simply does it. You can kind of see it just by clicking on it. And then embossing. If you want to do an embossed version of the image, you can do that just by clicking emboss and hit apply. Okay, so those are all the filters, all the altering functions that are available. Again, any changes you make, hit apply. They won't take effect, however, until you hit save. And then when you hit save, you can either let the image have the same name that it has, or you can give it a new name, and I can call this Koala 2 if I'd like, and then hit save. It will then appear in here as a second version of that image. If you don't change the name, it will overwrite the existing image right inside the editing tool. Okay, so that is how you can resize and manipulate your images right inside the editor.